From the New York City area, welcome to the Badass Counseling Show, where the master badass himself, Sven Erlandson, takes you deep and gives balm for the soul, baby.
Hello, it's great to have you here on the Badass Counseling Show. Whether you are tuning in from Yorkshire, England, the Yucatan Peninsula, Yuma, Arizona, Yellowstone Park, Ypsilanti, Michigan, or Youngstown, Ohio, we are so grateful to have you here for the whys of what's going on inside us and why are we hurting and why do we need to change. And here we are. We're ready to go. I have my team assembled. I have Casey over in the booth. I have Rob the Rocket next to me. Rob, what say you today?
You is wise. I saw what you did there, all the Y geographical names, and you said that we were wise, which is true. You are.
Playing around.
Love it.
All right, my man. We have a tough story here today, Rob. Tell us about Tally, if you would, please.
All right, Sven. Tally wrote in and said, as a child, my father yelled at me constantly, like I couldn't do anything right. He got arrested when I was 6 years old for molesting my older sister. While he was locked up and Mom was working, I spent a lot of time alone or at a friend's house. I was close to a family friend who lived down the street until he molested me multiple times between the ages of 12 and 14. When my father got out of prison, he started in on me too. My mother did nothing to stop him. On one occasion, she even told me to humor him, stating he was too drunk to actually do anything. I moved in with a man I'd been seeing for about a month at age 20 just to get away. That relationship led to a pregnancy that ended in a miscarriage at 21 that led to a suicidal depression. That relationship quickly soured and I left. But soon after, I fell into a mentally and emotionally abusive marriage with an extreme taker who I divorced after only 1 year of marriage. At age 27, I got sober and started trying to heal. I've done some work with your book and I'm making progress, and I'm now in a healthy and happy relationship. But I still have issues to work through, including body image, which I realized when I did the mirror exercise in your book. I couldn't make myself say, I am beautiful. Since Sven brought this to my attention, I'm hoping he can help me find the source of the problem.
Tally, welcome to the show.
Hi, Sven. It's good to be here.
It's great to have you on. And I understand from my staff that this is your birthday. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. I want to, there's just so much here to cover, but I want to address your issue first before I get into where my curiosity is. Your issue is I have body image issues to work through. Tell me in one sentence or less what your fundamental body image issue is.
I kind of just hate my body. I don't have any mirrors in my bedroom at all. When I read that the mirror exercise required standing naked in front of a mirror, I was like, yeah, I haven't done that in ever. I don't do that.
And when you and your partner have intimate relations, have sex, do you guys do it with the lights on or the lights off?
Lights on.
And you're okay with that?
Yeah.
Which is harder for you, to be seen by your partner naked or to look at yourself naked?
To look at myself.
Why is that harder for you?
I feel incredibly uncomfortable. And when I look at myself, I see all of my flaws immediately.
Don't you fear that your partner is looking at your flaws thinking, oh, you suck, or oh, you're unattractive, or you're too this, or you're not enough that?
I have had those fears with past partners, but not my current one. He's just so positive, always telling me how beautiful I am and how sexy I am.
What % do you believe him about beautiful and sexy?
I believe that he's sincere, but it doesn't make me feel like it's...
Not the question. What % do you believe him?
70%.
Fair enough. Okay. And so I just hate my body. Fair enough. Then let me ask you this. Let's expand that idea of hate. You clearly have no problem using the word hate, so let's have a little fun with the word hate. Do you hate yourself overall?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. And do you hate yourself presently?
No, actually, I've done a lot of work on myself this past year and I'm kind of proud of me right now.
Okay. I think that's fantastic. What was the age when you hated yourself most?
Probably 14,
And what percent did you hate yourself when you were 14?
like probably 90.
And what is the very earliest in your life that you recall hating yourself any percent?
Maybe 7 or 8.
Pick one.
7.
Okay. And what percent at 7 years old?
I started small, like probably only 25%.
Okay, fair. And just out of curiosity, if you were to speculate, what started you hating yourself? You give indication that the sexual molestation of you started at 12 or 14 with the family friend who lived down the street. So we can ascertain from what you've said that the self-hatred did not start with the sexual molestation of you, unless there's some other piece of information we missed. So why do you think a 7-year-old hated herself 25%?
I think I felt like nobody wanted to be around me. Nobody had actually told me the truth about why my father was arrested. So I didn't really understand why my sister was like never home, because she was just really angry about all what she'd been through. So she was never around, and she would leave and think my brother was watching me, and he'd be like, "Don't burn the house down, kid," and leave. And I'd just be left alone, and it felt like nobody else loved me. So it felt like something had to be wrong, like nobody wanted to spend time with me.
Interesting where the brain goes, isn't it? Especially that of a child. A child left alone, neglected, will create a story. And of course, mom was working, you said. But, and now we're going back to the beginning of your write-up. The first and second clause of your very first statement are, as a child, my father yelled at me constantly. So if you were to just play with it a little bit, I asked you what caused that 7-year-old to hate herself 25%, and you said nobody wanted to be around me. If that hatred of self, 25% at 7 years old, what percent, I'm just going to create a silly question here, but you kick it around, you play with it, okay? What percent of how much you hated yourself at 7 years old? What percent was a result of no one wanted to be around me? And what percent was a result of the fact that for the first 7 years of your life, your father yelled at you constantly?
Oh, I want to say 50-50, but I know you hate that.
I hate it so much, I won't let you.
Probably, I'd say if one of them was bigger, it would probably be dad yelling all the time. So
percent?
So I'd say like probably 55% that.
Isn't that interesting? That when I asked you previously, and that's great, thank you for that. I asked you previously, why do you think you hated yourself 25%? At 7 years old, your brain went to nobody wanted to be around me. Why do you think it is? And then on further examination, when I drilled down a bit, we determined there was actually a bigger reason. Why do you think your brain went to that nobody wanted to be around me at first?
Because the biggest feeling I remember having at that time was just loneliness.
Right. And what's fascinating from where I'm sitting is the loneliness came after the beatdown of your first 7 years, the verbal beatdown, the yelling, the intimidation, the fear. So that means, and you correct me if I'm wrong, that means in your first 7 years, you're getting these messages implanted into you loud and clear. Regardless of what's being said, you're being yelled at. Even if I'm yelling at you, neutral things. Or if you ever had a situation where you're talking to maybe your best friend or you're talking to your lover and they're talking about their day and your best friend, your girlfriend's getting so mad. I'm so mad at Susan at work. God, she's such a bitch. And you're like, whoa, man, whoa, don't yell at me. even though you know Susan's not yelling at you or your best friend's not yelling at you. But it's just like the energy is so fucking intense. It feels like I'm being, so even if your father wasn't actually saying anything negative to you, and I'm sure he was because he sounds like a real fucking piece of work. But even if he hadn't been, just that energy alone is scary to a child. Just out of curiosity, what would you say was, what do you recall was one of or two of the messages that he was screaming at you constantly?
He, like, once I tripped in front of him when we were on a camping trip, and instead of seeing if I was okay, he yelled at me because, I don't even know why. I don't. Maybe he spilled his beer or something. I don't know.
Sure.
But I was right in front of him when I fell down and got yelled at instead of consoled.
Sure.
And another time I remember I laughed at something. I don't remember what. Something happened at the kitchen table, and he sent me up to my room without supper. And when I was crying, he yelled after me and was like, I'll give you something to cry about, which was one of his favorite lines.
Mm-hmm. And do you ever remember him saying anything about you or like names or messages or anything like that? And if not, it's fine. I'm just curious.
No, actually, when he wasn't yelling, I was his princess. It was one or the other. I was never anything in between. He either loved me or...
And so what's the message the child got?
Probably that I only had value when I was serving him. Actually, you helped me realize that like last week in a reel.
In one of the reels I put up on it, like Instagram or something or Facebook.
Yeah.
That you only had value when serving him. And so has that played out in your adult relationships?
I think a lot in the workplace.
Really?
Like I'm such a yes man there. I would do like whatever is asked of me, like without hesitation.
Okay. And why not in your personal relationships as well?
I've always kind of been a runner. Like the first sign of a red flag in any relationship, I'm just like, yep, I'm out.
That's
Goodbye.
not, but wait a minute. Come on. Wait a minute. That's not true. You said the relationship that you were in at 20 led to a miscarriage. That led to a suicidal depression. That relationship quickly soured and I left. But soon after I fell into a mentally and emotionally abusive marriage with an extreme taker.
So
the truth is if you get the first red flag, you're out. Then the first sign of mental or verbal abuse, emotional abuse, you would have been out. But the fact that you fell into a marriage, you're implying it was long term. I'm betting you didn't go right away. Why not?
I kind of realized that I had this pattern of running, and I told myself, you're never gonna find someone if you keep running all the time. Relationships have issues, you have to work through them. So like,
and you chose to do it with a mentally and emotionally abusive guy.
Like the first year, like before we got married, he was Mr. Mom cooking dinners. Like I would come home from work and not have to lift a finger on the house because he cleaned everything and he was fabulous. And as soon as we were married, it shifted.
All right. So why do you think you hate your body?
I've been mulling this around a lot since it came up for me. And, my first theory was, shame over all the sexual trauma. But then I realized, like, I had pictures of me in high school wearing tank tops and, like, actually, like, showing skin and acting like I was confident in my body after that happened. And then I thought maybe it had to do with the emotional abuse of the marriage. But again, like, I have pictures of me and my friend out for dinner after that where I was dressed to the nines. I looked great, but I noticed in that I had a glass of Chardonnay in my hand, and I thought maybe it's now that I'm sober, I need to have real confidence, and I've never had real confidence because of the childhood. So it's like, instead of pure muscle confidence that maybe.
Hey, let me ask you, when you were a teenager, when you were in your 20s, did you see were you conscious of it, or even looking back, did you see your body and your sexuality as your only way of getting positive attention?
There
or a way, a primary way?
mean, there were times where it felt like that was the only value anyone else saw in me.
And so while it was sort of a double-edged sword, right? I mean, it was the value. So if I was going to get value, I had to use, and I'm just kicking around a theory. So if it doesn't work, you throw it out in a second, all right? But it's the way I'm going to get attention, so I'm going to play that card. But there's also all the bad that has come with it. So there had to have been an immense amount of fear, I would think, in playing that card, in living that way. You must have had if that's true, you must have had a hell of a sort of a fear index going on in you, but also a hell of some sort of shield inside of you or something. Talk to me what that was like.
Sometime in middle school, I realized that the one emotion that my father didn't yell at me for expressing was actually anger. And I kind of turned anger into my shield. I was just angry all the time at the world. And I had this such rage in me that I was like, I will fight anyone, anytime, anywhere. And that was just my override to any emotion, fear, anxiety, any other emotion I felt just got channeled into that wall, just being angry all the time.
Do you blame your body for getting you, quote unquote, in trouble? Do you blame your body for bringing the molestation onto you? Crazy as that sounds.
That's an interesting question. I have not considered.
Are you mad at your body?
I don't think so. That's not something that's ever occurred to me before.
The only reason I ask is the shame and rage are opposite sides of the same coin. Shame and rage very often go together. Very often the people who are most rage-filled are the ones that are often filled with the most shame. Often the ones who have the most shame have the most rage, but it may be packed down deep. And so when you're talking about that anger was allowed, well, that makes sense. Of course you had a lot of anger. I mean, that would make total sense. And I was just wondering, I mean, you've got this hate. You've used the word hate exactly once today. I've brought it up since, but you've used the word hate once, referring to your own self, your own body. And we would normally hear that and think, oh, in my case, I hate my whatever. And we think of it as I hate this body part or I hate that body part. But there's another way of thinking of hate, and that is I hate someone who's done something to me. And so I was just turning it on your body. Do you hate your body for doing something to you? So let me just play with that sort of question. This is going to be a really fucked up question. You can tell me, hey, man, that question's fucked up, Sven. I'm not answering that. That's bullshit. Or I don't feel comfortable with that. And I will abort the question instantly. But it's an honest question, and I say it with respect. Okay, but you don't have to answer. It's okay. What percent do you blame yourself for being sexually molested, either by the fella down the street or by your father?
I used to blame myself a lot more than I do now.
So you do blame yourself now, because you said I used to blame myself more, which implies you still do.
Yeah.
What percent?
Now I think it's just like 15%, maybe.
And if 50,
that feels a little high.
That feels a little high?
Yeah, maybe 10.
10%. And what is the highest percent that you've ever in your life blamed yourself for what was done to you?
100%.
What age?
When I was 14.
14. And that's now 14. You said you would, from 12 to 14, you had been molested multiple times. So that means it started at 12, ended at 14. So why did you hate yourself? When I asked you, when did you hate yourself 100%, blame yourself 100%, why did you say 14 and not 12 or 13? Why did you put it at the end of that phase of being molested by that boy and not at the beginning or the middle? Nothing wrong with it. I'm just curious. Why then?
Because at the end, I was the one who stopped it. I made him stop. And I felt like I had the power to do that this whole time, and I just didn't do it. which I now realize, like, yeah, you were frozen in fear. You were a child. But at the time, I felt like it was my fault for not stopping it sooner.
All right. And just so I know, how old was that person that did it to you?
He was in his 40s at the time.
Which, of course, is just sickening. Did you ever tell your mother or police or anything?
Yeah, I did tell my mother. And she told me just stay away from him. And then had him in the house, 2 months later.
And had him in the house. Why?
Our furnace broke, and for some reason, instead of telling the landlord and getting a professional in to fix it, she thought she'd just call him to get it handled for free.
In the breakdown of siblings, you're the youngest of three?
4.
Young.
One of them was not raised in the house. He's a half sibling.
So, but you're the youngest?
Yeah.
Okay. And what's the age break between you and the next one up from you?
4 years.
Were you an accident?
No, I was very much on purpose. My father is the father of my older half brother and the middle child, my brother, but he's not my sister's biological father.
Uh-huh.
And after having made 2 boys, he told my mom he wanted to make a girl. And that was why they got pregnant, was specifically to have me.
We asked the amount you blame yourself for your having been a victim, how much you blamed yourself for having been a victim of that lecher 40-something man when you were 12 to 14. What percent did you or do you blame yourself for your father sexually molesting you?
0.
And how long did the molestation by your father go on?
Well, he never put his hands on me again after I moved out, but the harassment continued until I cut him out of my life in 2019. So,
but the actual molestation went from what ages to what ages?
16 to 20.
And then, just to sort of close the loop, you blamed yourself for not stopping it when you were 14. And then with your father, he's doing it. And again, you do not have to answer this question. Just asking a question, okay? And if it is in any way offensive, just say, hey, man, no, I can't do that. Don't ask that. Why didn't you stop it with your father? Or did you not have the power to, or you had nowhere to go? Why didn't you, if you were already blaming yourself at 14 for not stopping it with that man, why didn't you stop it with your father? Or didn't you have the power, or what?
Well, I tried to. I, at one point, was basically confined to my bedroom. I got myself a mini fridge and microwave. Everything was like not leaving my room except for school and work. And, he'd threaten to break down the door, and I'd be like, yeah, that's great. Go ahead. I'll be waiting on the other side with your hunting knife. And he would not, he knew I wasn't bluffing, and he was. So that, he never actually did it. But, at some point you have to leave your bedroom. You can't just stay in there for your whole life. And, mom would be like, why don't you just come down and watch a movie with us? Nothing's going to happen, and he'd always be drunk, and he'd start in on me, and I'd tell him to stop, and mom would just sit there and keep flipping through her catalog, circling stuff to buy for people for Christmas, and acting like everything was normal, like nothing was happening.
Okay. That was, that's just brutal. Just brutal. Okay, I'm going to give you a breather here. We're going to take a quick commercial, all right? All right, we'll be right back.
So I was telling a buddy of mine how he seems happier. He told me about the book that changed his life. So I bit. I went to the Badass Counseling website and downloaded There's a Hole in My Love Cup audiobook. I started listening to it on my commute home from work, and holy cow, it was a Louisville slugger to the face. I literally sat in my car in the driveway night after night, listening through to the end of a chapter or doing the journaling exercises. My wife started to see changes. I started to change a lot. My default response stopped always being anger. Now I manage a team of salespeople, and I changed as a leader. I was listening more, not always just reacting. When their numbers started going up seemingly out of nowhere, I knew what the reason was. There's a hole in my love cup is now required listening for any person on my sales team or working for me, and I gladly buy it for them. You gotta listen to this book.
This show provides soul counseling intended to entertain and inform and is not medical advice. Now, back to the badass.
We are back with Tally. Tally, before we move forward, I want to ask you, where are you at? What's going on inside of you? What are you feeling?
Just really shaken up. I've never really talked about any of this out loud before.
You've never talked about any of this?
Not really in detail, like been very vague with details with people. Never really gotten into how I felt about it, or I always just tried to kind of act like nothing ever happened.
And the reason you acted like nothing ever happened, right, which actually makes total sense, was what?
I didn't want to look like a victim.
And the reason you didn't want to look like a victim was what?
Because I didn't want to look weak.
And the reason you didn't want to look weak is what?
Because I didn't want anyone else to think they could take advantage of me.
Bingo. You have never been safe in your entire life. Till now, it sounds like with the person that you're with.
Yeah.
Which is manna from heaven. I mean, that's fantastic. So you have never gotten therapy for this?
No, I tried through one of those app things before I got sober, and it was just utterly useless. So.
Understood. If the day comes when you feel like giving it a try again, there are, at the very least, very least, and in some ways it's the most, and that is a sexual abuse survivors group is just so fucking powerful. To be with a group of women who have gone through that, you're not talking to anybody who's talking out of a book when you're there. And to walk into a room where everyone gets you instantly and where you don't have to talk, there may come a day, and it may come sooner than later or not. That's okay too. But there may come a day when that may be very good medicine, because you'll never feel safer than in that group. So something to think about there, kid. So back to the question then. First of all, so you feel shaken up. Give me a feeling word. Just give me one feeling word. Describe how you're feeling.
I feel nervous.
That's fair. So I'm listening to your story, and you talk about how your father was yelling at you constantly when you were a child, before age 7. Okay. Did your father yell at your mother?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Was your father physically abusive to your mother?
Only one time that I know of.
Okay. And so your father, and was he physically, or was he verbally or any other abusive to your siblings besides your sister, who was sexually molested by your father?
Yeah, he couldn't be in a room with either of my brothers for more than an hour without turning into an argument.
Got it. So your father's a wild man, totally out of control. Okay. Your mother is allowing this treatment of her children as well. I'm not disputing that she's scared, but she's allowing this treatment of her children. May I ask how old you are, Tally?
33.
33. That means you were a young child in the 1990s, right? And came of age, young, early teens, whatever, in the 2000s. So I just want to remind our listeners, we are not talking about someone who was raised in the 1940s. Okay. And what I mean by that is there are lots of resources out there, and there are lots of places someone can go to get a child away from that. Then you go on to say that you were sexually molested between the ages of 12 and 14 by a neighbor, which you alerted your mom to. Your mom knew about it. Your mom said, just stay away from him. Your mom did not call the police. Your mom did not get you the fuck out of there. In fact, 2 months later, she invites the man into your home. You go on to talk about then when your father gets out of prison. And so, by the way, your mother knew that your father had sexually molested your sister, obviously, and your father goes to prison. When your father gets out of prison, he comes back into the home. So your mother allows her child to be in the same home as a convicted sexual molester, predator. Okay? And then he, to use your words, started in on me too. She's aware of it, and she's telling you to humor him. And when you're watching TV and he's going after you, she's just sort of looking through her magazine and watching TV. I'm going to ask you a strange question. Why did your mom hate you?
I don't know. Sometimes I think the only reason she had me was to make him happy.
It sounds like it. And because I'm really curious, you were daddy's princess, you said, when he wasn't yelling at you. Did he treat his other children better or worse than you? Actually, you know what? I want to ask a different question. Did your mother treat your siblings better or worse than you?
My brother, she treated better. My sister, she hated. I absolutely resented her.
So her treatment of your brother or brothers?
Just the one that's hers. My
Gotcha. Okay, that's fine. Brother better, but she treats her daughters clearly like shit. She is literally sitting in the same room while you are being sexually molested by a sexual predator, a pedophile. She is bringing a pedophile into the home, her home, with the daughter that this pedophile molested. It seems to indicate she doesn't, well, obviously she doesn't care about you, but it seems to indicate she hates both of her daughters. Why would she hate both of her daughters but adore her son? And I want you to focus not on why she adores her son. Why would she hate both of her daughters?
I have no idea.
Now, I think you and I can both agree it's certainly not any fault of the child.
Yeah.
So then why would she hate both of her daughters?
I mean, she dropped out of college and she had my sister, and I don't know if she blamed her for ruining her career or whatever, but I mean, she had a baby before that she put up for adoption. She could have done that if she wanted to stay, so I don't know why she would keep her and then resent her for it like that. And me, I was planned. She wanted me, so I don't know what.
No, you said your father wanted you, and you just said, and in all likelihood, she had you for him, right? And so it sounds like she had a career in college, and she came under pressure when it came under your sister. She potentially came under pressure from somewhere to have the child, because she clearly didn't want to have a child. Anyway, so she has two girls. And how old was your sister when I'm sure you know, how old was your sister when your father started molesting her?
I think 14.
14. Interesting. So he waited that long.
As far as I know.
Interesting. To the best of your knowledge, did your mom hate your sister before he started molesting her?
I don't remember any of the tension and the arguing between them and everything before my father was arrested.
Between them, you mean mom and sister?
Yeah.
So the tension between mom and sister started after dad got arrested.
Yeah.
Do you think your sister told your mom before dad got arrested? Did she know?
My mother knew that it was happening, and she did nothing. My sister called the police herself.
I guess what I'm getting at is it possible that the reason your mother tolerated all of this and in fact then brought that man from down the street into the house and watched it happen? I'm seeing hate for the daughters, either because she's jealous of you daughters, that he wants you guys more than he wants her. And, or more likely, and she clearly fears not having him. She brings him back into the house. She allows him back into the house. She has a child for him. Not that unusual. Then you see that a lot with couples. All right. But then she allows him back into the house. And you say that your sister probably had told her that dad was molesting her before sister actually called the cops. So she knew. She's letting it happen. She must have a massive amount of fear. What would she have been most afraid of? What would have been likely the single biggest fear driving your mom, causing her to allow her two daughters to be brazenly sexually molested by her husband?
I don't know.
Speculate. What would she... Is it money? Is it being alone? Is it, gee, and now I won't have a man? Is it if he's not here, I'll have to go back to work and fend for myself? I won't have the posh life.
I don't really see any benefit that man brings to her life.
But whether or not you see it, let me rephrase the question. It's not what does he bring to her life per se? It's what does she fear losing? And I know it's sort of the same question, but it's not. What would her fear be? Is it, what will people think of me? Is it, I won't have his money because I know he'll cut me off from the money? What would the fear be that would be driving mom? Is it her mom saying to her, I knew you couldn't keep a man? What would her fear be? You know her as well as anybody.
I think just needing to actually go out in the world and interact with people, or actually meet somebody new, because she met him in second grade, and even though they both dated other people in between then and them actually becoming a couple, they were only best friends for the longest time.
And what would scare her? What would scare her so much about having to get out in the world and meet someone new?
She never does it. She doesn't have friends. She has no social life.
What would be the scary part about that?
Leave her comfort zone.
I'll leave her comfort zone. And if I meet people, what do I fear might happen? Or if he leaves me and I got to find a new partner, what do I fear might happen?
I don't know.
Think about your own experience. What have you feared? Sometimes we can understand someone else by drawing on our own experiences. What have I feared when I've feared being alone, or I've held on to someone who was mentally and emotionally abusive? What has been my fear?
Well, the only time that I actually held on when I shouldn't have was my husband, and
What was the fear keeping you in the relationship?
I was afraid of betraying my own beliefs because I didn't believe in divorce.
Okay. And if you had betrayed your own beliefs, then what? What was the fear then if you did betray those beliefs? Then what?
That I would have something else to feel ashamed over.
And then I would have something else to feel ashamed over. All right. So I would feel ashamed of myself. And just out of weird question, what would be the one sense, going back to that random thought about your marriage. If you had gotten a divorce, which eventually did, obviously, but in that time when you were fearing doing it, what was the one sentence you most feared someone saying to you or thinking about you if you did get a divorce?
My father saying I told you so, because he hated him even before we got married.
So it's possible you were staying in a mentally and physically abusive or mentally and emotionally abusive marriage out of spite for your father.
I've done a lot of fucked up things out of spite for my father.
Yeah. And it's possible that you did precisely that. And so let me ask you this, is the real reason you stayed in that relationship because your values of marriage and divorce is bad, or is the real reason you stayed in because I don't want the son of a bitch to be right?
I know it was both because...
Which one was it more?
Yeah.
Be honest.
I want to say it was my beliefs.
You want to say, and if that's the truth, then say it. But which was it?
Probably more not wanting dad to be right.
Okay, fair enough. That's fair. And so then I had a question in my notes that I wanted to ask you earlier, and I didn't get to it. Who's the bigger pig? Your mom or your dad?
Probably my mom.
There's no right or wrong answer. Only you can answer it. I'm asking for you. I'm really curious. In your brain.
I mean, well, biggest pig sounds more like my dad, but the one I have the most hate for is my mom's.
What percent do you hate your mom?
Like 100%.
What percent do you hate your dad?
Also 100%.
Go figure. You're an equal opportunity hater. God bless you. Now, just out of curiosity, what do you say to people? Oh, you shouldn't hate. Hate's a bad word. All that stuff. What do you say to that?
So what I get most of the time is, they're still your parents. You only get one to the parents.
Oh,
and I always and these are always people that don't know the details. I have no idea why I stopped talking to them. Just that I did, and I always look at them and say they lost the right to call themselves that a long time ago.
And all right, fair enough. And so, what do you think of the idea of Miss Divorce is bad? What do you think of the idea of hate and saying that you hate someone and you hate them 100%?
I think if you have good reason to, it's perfectly valid.
And what are you doing to flush the hate out of your system? Not that you don't have every right to be hateful as long as you want, but as long as you're carrying it around, it's still inside you. So I know you want to heal. What are you doing to actively? And I'm not saying you ever need to have a relationship with either of those pigs ever again. And if the word pig goes more to a man, then we'll say a hog and a sow, whatever, pig and a sow, whatever. You don't have to ever, stop hating them. I don't care. It's up to you. But if you want to heal, you got to get that shit out. So what are you doing to get it out?
It's been a lot of letter writing.
Good for you.
A lot of letter writing.
Good for you. And so of all the people that have hurt you in your life, we got dad, we got the man, we got mom, we got the ex who was abusive. Rank order for me. Rank order, not who you hate most, because it's all 100%, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But rank order, who did the most damage?
It's really hard to decide if mom was worse or if dad was worse than that.
You can change your mind in 5 minutes, 5 days, 5 months, 5 years. All right. So I'm not locking you in forever.
I want to say probably dad, then mom, then the man, and the husband being the least damage.
Which sounds strange to say, I'm sure, for you. And so then in light of this conversation, what do you think the reason is you hate your body?
I had clarity on that. I don't know.
I want you to just take a ballpark, and I'm not fishing for any particular answer. I don't know. I'm asking you to just put it in the ballpark. Take a wild guess at what it might be, And we can throw it out in 2 minutes if you want. What might it be? What resonates as possibly true for why you, Tally, hate your body?
Okay. Here's thought. For most of my life before the marriage, it seemed like that my body was all anybody wanted me for. And then in that marriage, it wasn't enough for him.
Hmm.
And it was suddenly rejected for the same thing that got me all that unwanted, albeit attention in the past. Wasn't good enough for the person that I wanted to be with.
Hmm. So it sort of went from my body was a troublemaker, if I'm hearing you, to my body disappointed me because it disappointed my husband. You want to tweak that?
That's about right. And then, during the marriage, I put on weight for the first time in my life ever. I mean, it came right off once I got out of that situation. But
And what did the weight do for you? Did it protect you? Was it a fuck you to him? Was it a safety shield?
to be honest, I think it was just cooking.
Well, that. You must be a good cook.
He was a damn good cook. That was the best thing about him.
All right. So, he was a good cook, you said.
He was.
Okay, fair. Hey, a man who's a good cook. Still a son of a bitch for the abuse. So, just for the record, your body didn't get you into trouble. I just want to clear up the record. You were a child in the company of a pedophile, and your mother did not protect you. You had 2 pigs living under one roof, and you were present. And none of that was your fault. Your body did not betray you. Your body had nothing to do with it other than you were the victim. I just want to clear that up. Furthermore, in your marriage, your body, it's not that your body wasn't good enough. You were in a marriage with a fucking piece of shit. And he was going to find something to tear apart about you because that's what abusers do. That's what abusers do. They find something wrong. If your body was so bad, you said it didn't change in your marriage until you started eating, yet he all his good cooking, yet he married you, which implies he was quite pleased with your body. So the notion that your body was a problem is bullshit. Your body wasn't the problem. He was just a fucking asshole who liked doing damage. And that is the mark of a small man. The mark of a small man, as every kid who was ever raised in my generation or plenty of generations before or since, every boy knows if you're picking on somebody smaller than you, you are a small man. If you're picking on a handicapped kid, you are a small boy. If you're picking on a girl, you are a small man. Your ex was a small man. Your father wasn't even that. That man down the street wasn't even that. It had nothing to do with your body. And what you need to be doing is those letters you're writing, you need to be writing letters to your body. I know that sounds crazy. You need to write letters to your body and get out. If you're mad at your body, get it out. I hate you for this and that. I hate you for this and that. Even though, after what Sven said, I know it wasn't your fault. I'm sorry I've been blaming you. See, what you're doing by blaming your body, by blaming any part of you for every single one of these situations, mom, dad, or dad, mom, the man down the street, and the husband, in every single one of those situations, indisputably, you were the victim. And in your home, you were a double victim. There was a double superpower. And even with the man down the street, it was double superpower because it was mom and the man. The mom brought him in and allowed it and didn't protect. So you had all the forces aligned against you. You had zero power. You were an absolute and unequivocal victim. So you now blaming or shaming 12-year-old self, or you shaming 5-year-old self for getting yelled at. Oh, I'm such a klutz for tripping and spilling dad's beer. You tripped. literally today, after I got out of session with a client, no, I was going into session with a client, and I had a plate with some toasted bread on it. I was going to eat right before session. I was walking up the steps, and I had my dress shoes on instead of my sneakers, and I tripped, and the bread and my milk, yes, I drink milk in the middle of the day, spilled all over the ground, but I managed to not break the glass. I tripped. I am a 58-year-old man. You are a 5-year-old girl, 7-year-old girl. You blaming her for tripping. You blaming her for her body and getting molested. You blaming the 12-year-old. You of all people, the further you go into your healing, you of all people will remember more and more all that she felt. That means you of all people need to be the most compassionate. You need to be the one going back to 7-year-old self and 5-year-old self. You need to be the one going back to 12-year-old self, 14-year-old self. And you know who you need to take with you? You need to take 75-year-old self with you, because she wants to give you a hug first, and she wants to sit with you. She wants to stroke your hair and remind you of how beautiful you are, and nobody understands you like your 75-year-old self. And then after you've bawled your eyes out with her, after you've held hands, then you say to her, come on, let's go back. You're both going to go back to that 12-year-old self and to that 5-year-old self. And you're going to get them the hell out of there. And no one's going to hurt them again. And you are going to have only compassion for that 5, for that 7, for that 9, for that 12, for that 14, for that 17, for that 23, for that 29-year-old self. That's this whole process that has to happen here. You have to begin to be the bearer of compassion to these past selves in the letters, in your journaling. You have to begin to bring the feelings up and give them a point of exit through your journaling, through your letter writing. And I strongly recommend you write a letter, yes, to your body, multiple letters, asking for her forgiveness for blaming your body. But also, I strongly recommend that you get into a women's group. I cannot recommend. And if the first one, maybe it doesn't feel right or whatever, find out. There are great ones out there. In fact, most of them are. It's been my experience with clients who report that. And having been part of a men's group, I can report that. All right? And in person is, usually best. But one organization that you can reach out to for further referrals is NAMI.org, NAMI.org. Okay. Do you have any final questions for me?
That I could think of.
What's going on inside of you right now, Tally? Where are you at?
I'm thinking about that little girl that didn't deserve any of the crap that she went through.
None of it. And what do you feel when you think about that girl?
It just hurts.
It hurts.
Through so much pain that I didn't deserve, that no child deserves. Hard to think about.
It's terrifying to think about. It's overwhelming to feel.
Yeah.
Even a little dose of it is overwhelming. But that's where the healing is. It's those little doses bit by bit. And the fact that you had the courage to talk about it today when you've never talked about it before, certainly not in this depth, is remarkable. And you did it with such openness. And this is the opportunity for you to continue to do that. Continue, especially in the journaling now. Just do it in the amounts that you can handle. All right? Do a little bit more than next time, and a little bit more than after that. This is big stuff.
Yeah.
And you control sort of the speed of the healing. It's not going to be fast, but it's not a forever thing. The more you get down there into that deeper stuff and go back down there and flush, and then go back down there and flush, the more you do that, the more you're moving through your healing. What keeps people from healing is their terror, their fear of going down there. All the feelings. I believe in you, Tally. I really do. You wouldn't have been able to open up this much unless you were ready. This is unusual, really, to have someone this open. And just for one last point, and it's this. In a lot of homes, there are certain feelings that are not allowed. And very interestingly, in a lot of homes, one of the feelings that's not allowed is happiness. In other homes, the feeling that's not allowed is anger. In some homes, the feeling that's not allowed, as with yours, was sadness. It's interesting that in yours, anger was allowed. Now, in homes where I have clients who come to me, and not every home is that way, but I have clients who come to me who were allowed to be sad, but they weren't allowed to be angry. And so unlocking someone's anger can be very hard. You've got the opposite. The anger comes naturally for you, but unlocking the sad. And it's been my experience that for folks who are good at being angry, unlocking the sad in some ways is a hair bit easier. You've already been crying here at the end, so it's not totally shut off. And that's good. And that's your entry. That's your entry. And bring the anger too. Bring the rage, bring the fucking hatred, all of it. Just keep flushing it out. Any final thoughts or questions?
Just thank you so much for this.
Absolutely. I hope you'll stay in touch with the show. I really want to keep track of sort of how you're doing.
I will.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on to the show. Rob, any final thoughts?
Interesting to hear from someone who seemed to be in the middle of doing all the work, but finds that she has so much more to do. But it has to be easier that she's in such a good relationship now. That's a good, solid foundation from which to improve, I think.
Feel safe. Yeah. Well, on behalf of my team, KC and Rob, and on behalf of all of you around the world, I want to thank Tally. And on behalf of my team, I want to thank all of you around the world for tuning in to the Badass Counseling Show. Have a kick-ass day. Slay those fucking demons.
The Badass Counseling Show is strictly copyrighted. No copies may be made without the express written consent of the Badass Counseling Show, LLC. The Badass Counseling Show is produced by Karen Camparelli and Robert H. Friedman. Executive producer Sven Erlandson. Original music by two-time Emmy Award-winning composer Trevor Morris. Have a kick-ass day.